Hi everybody, it's Franny, and today we're working on this bit here. Okay, so that obviously should stay up, and if you do this like 100 times, it will almost always stay up, kind of. Yay! Okay, so we're going to be replacing these boot struts because this thing is driving me nuts. But here's the deal. I want to show you something. It's kind of strange that in the because this car didn't originally come with this tail on it, what Porsche did was they only had one strut on the left side, and that was plenty of weight for this. But once you put a big old tail like this up here, you have to have two struts in order to get this to lift. So I think I saw it on Pelican Parts. There's a kit that you can get that puts two struts on the left side with a spacer so that they can be spaced out far enough, and they go all the way back. And I'll show you what that looks like because this car has that. But the problem with that is that as this comes down, see how this side is much higher? It's quite a bit higher than over here on this side. Down here, it's just like, I don't know, there's almost like almost an inch, because it is putting so much force on this side, on just this hinge that's on the left side of the car. It's literally tweaking this deck lid. So that's not cool. So why don't they have a bracket over on the right side? Why don't we just put it there? Now, funny, there is a bracket all the way in the back up against the firewall for the strut to attach to. So let's see, it goes like, let's see, it'd be this part goes in the back, and there's a bracket back there for it. Woohoo, that's great. But it's not, there's no bracket here for it. And so the hinge isn't really designed for it at all. So what we're going to do is, I got this piece of metal that I found in my crap box that I've got in there, and I'm going to build a little extension to come off of this bolt that's over here and go back to extend this strut on the right hand side so that we can have a strut on both sides. Now I have two new struts, so I'm going to be replacing both struts on the car, but it's this one that's going to be a bear. So this ought to be kind of interesting. It's kind of, I don't really have a set thing for this. It's going to be a little kind of vloggy, but it'll be kind of fun. All right, so this is our hinge on the left side, and somebody has installed this kit to put two struts there. So you can see there's a spacer here, right up here, right there. And that allows the struts to be side by side, and then they go back to the firewall there, and there's another spacer back there, and that's how this works. Okay, well, I'm going to start by taking the air cleaner, air boxy thing out because it's kind of totally in the way. So we'll start with that. It's a little bit interesting to get this thing out. The two clips here are really easy to get off. And the ones in the back are there. That's one of them. And the other one is kind of hard to get off. There it goes. Oh, good. Okay, great. So it wasn't that bad. They're a lot more fun to get back on. All right, so we'll pull out our air cleaner cover here. Now that gives us tons more room. So let me go in there and show you exactly what we're dealing with this hinge over here. This is the bottom of the hinge here. And then all the way back there, this white guy back here is the actual connection on the firewall. That's great. But as you can see, look at this. See, it's way short. And you're probably wondering, why is it so short? I don't understand. Why did they make a completely different right hinge and left hinge? I have no idea. But over on the other side, over here, on the left side, they've got an extension. It came down specifically for this hinge. And then on the right side, it doesn't exist. So that's the problem right there. So that's what we're going to have to fix. I'm going to start by mounting my strut to the firewall on the bracket that's already there. That way it'll always be where I need it to be, and it'll be a lot easier to try and figure out the distance I need from the end of the strut to the bottom of the hinge here. So I've got a bolt that I think will work really well, a nice little metric bolt, and I'm going to put a little Loctite on it so it doesn't come loose. So here we go. Just want to make sure the strut is still free and we're not pinching it. There we go. Loctite will hold that in for us. Measuring back on the other side to give us some idea where this thing really needs to be. Let's see, it's very close to 10 inches from bolt to bolt with this all the way up. All right, so we're going to need to come out almost another 3 inches or so. All right, so this dumb plate that I have already has a bolt on it here, which I'm thinking I might be able to put a hole in the side of this hinge here, and that'll help lock this together, and I can use the hole on the bottom to go into this little bracket bolt here. So all I need to do then is just figure out how far back it needs to go. All right, well, just a lucky coincidence, I think my holes are pretty much in the right spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of grind this thing down so it looks more like a bracket and less like a big old piece of metal, and start fiddling with it to see if I can get it in and get the hood to go up and down just right. So what I'm thinking here is something that looks like this. We need this first bolt here, and then back down around like this, and then we're going to kind of come out here like that, and then like that. In fact, that doesn't need to even be that long, so maybe more like that. All right. All right, so that's what our bracket looks like. We're going to have to cut all this out and kind of dress it on the grinding wheel, and let me go ahead and do that. Anything that I can cut it with? I have my bracket made here, so I just need to mark a hole for this stud that's going to go through right up here on the hinge itself here, and then we're just going to drill a quick little hole and we'll mount our bracket and see if this works out. All right, so looks like about there, I think. Okay, so there's our mark. I don't want crap going everywhere. All right, okay. Go through like that. This one, go down there on that, like that. And then this guy's gonna come up here and mount there. Yeah. Looking pretty hot. I've had to adjust things a little bit more, not too bad though, just a teeny bit. Just really hard to get this exactly in the right spot. All right, with our bracket here, now our strut is just going to mount to this hole out here. So I think this is all going to work pretty well. I'm going to go ahead and hook it all up and see how it works, run the top up and down a little bit, make sure everything's great, and then I'll probably take this off and paint it so it looks a little more like it should. There we go. Okay, all right, that should be enough to at least just test it. All right, the moment of truth. Let's see what this looks like. It's a great idea, it's just not strong enough. So this is our old bracket. Wasn't quite right, but it did work really well as a template. I had to oblong that hole a bit, and I moved the hole on the end here out a little bit as well, and built a much better, much thicker, much more serial bracket here. So this thing is super strong. So I'm going to go ahead and leave right up here a little diagram of this thing. So if you want to build one for your car, I'll give you the dimensions of it and stuff. Just go ahead and pause the video and go ahead and write down the dimensions, and you can build one for your own car. I have my bracket in. This is just a test, but it looks great and it works well as well. So it doesn't, the last one would fold and bend and all that sort of stuff. So it made a good template. But this one is very strong and does exactly what I need it to do. And the trunk lid now goes down like this. And then check this out. Whee! And that's with the old strut still on the left side. So I've got a bad strut over there. I think maybe one of them is bad. But the new one on the right, and it's working great. Well, the bracket is pretty sweet, but I think it would look a lot better if it was white. Have my bracket all painted. What do you think? It's nice and white. It's a little bit more white than this white, but it's close enough. So I'm going to install, there needs to be a bolt here for the back of the strut to go into. So I'm going to put that in before, just a lot easier to do it with this thing out. Then I'll go ahead and mount this guy and we'll mount the strut to it and we should be done. So the hardware I have is just 6mm, pretty simple, and I need to get this tight on here. And the reason is because the strut's going to mount to this side of this thing and I need this to be solid. I can't have it woggling back and forth. Just kind of tighten this guy up, that's all we have to do. So that's our bracket with the stud already mounted in it. We're all set there. Okay. All right, we just need to tighten those guys down. Next step is this little guy over that. And then this goes over here like this. There we go. A little plastic spacer there. It still has to rotate, so don't leave it too tight. There we go. All right. I'll go ahead and swap out the struts on the left. Now we have these dual strut deal over here on the left-hand side, so I'm going to be pulling both of those out and kind of tossing those two. And I've got a brand new strut, but I'm going to convert this back to a single strut operation because now we got the other strut on the other side. Got my trusty dusty hood prop here, way better. I'm going to install the back mount first because I think it'll be easier to get to, and the strut goes rearward and this bit goes mounted up against the firewall. It goes up against the firewall. The big trick is not to drop all the hardware all over the place back here. It's not impossible to get back out, but it's just a pain. Come on, kiddo. There you go. You obviously don't want to clamp down on it too tight. It still has to move up and down. We've got our lock nut on this side here. And our bolt over on this side, so we're good there. Got our lock nut on the outside, the far side there, and then our bolt on the right side, so we're all good here. Look at that! Yay! Look at it go up and down. This is great. So it stays down when it's all the way down, which it's supposed to because of the kind of the geometry and the way the struts are hooked up back there. But you get it to about here or so, and it goes up the rest of the way. That's exactly what it's supposed to do. And more importantly, we now have a strut on both sides. So having two on the left side just kind of horks this whole thing as it goes up, and after a while it kind of bends the hinge and it kind of just makes a mess of everything. So this is awesome. So I hope this will maybe help and be a useful guide if you want to add one of these brackets on your car on the right hand side. If you've got the dual setup on the left, but you really would like to move one over, this is a great way to do it. So thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you got any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them down below and I'll get right to them. So thanks again, thanks so much, and until next time, safe travels. Bye.